Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is episode 5 of the Diverse Places revision series over here on my channel. Today we're going to be looking at the question of how do people view diverse living spaces differently? If this is your first time here, hey, I'm Laura. I am a degree level geography student and I'm making this because it's exactly what I wanted during my A-levels. I wanted someone to just speak the whole specification to me that I could put it on in the background of brushing my teeth or eating my dinner or something like that, just so that I had it there, someone that was fairly easy to listen to. I hope that's what I am. I always struggled because I found it was like old men, nothing against them, I just found them really hard to listen to and engage with. So I hope this is useful. If it is, please do subscribe down below and I will just get straight on into this. Manchester, a dangerous place to be. Cities are often portrayed as exciting places to be, full of vitality, energy, potential, but that's not always the case. In the 1830s and 40s, the novel of Charles Dickens gave uncomfortable accounts of life in Britain in rapidly industrialising cities. In Oliver Twist, Dickens portrayed London's dark underbelly through characters like Fagin, who ran a gang of child pickpockets, Bill Sikes, a vicious murderer, and his girlfriend, Nancy, a prostitute. London was not alone. In 1848, Elizabeth Gaskell published a landmark novel called Mary Barton. It was a murder story set in industrial Manchester, but its significance was in how it portrayed the life of Manchester's industrial poor. Typically, their homes were described from the book Mary Barton, of the Davonshire family's slum home, describing a living space that typified Britain's industrial cities in the 19th century. The description of the cellar where the Davenports lived is full of lurid images to convey stench, damp and danger to health. The significance of these Victorian writers was that they forced their middle-class readership to have a greater awareness of the grim lives of the industrial poor of British cities, most of which would have most certainly never seen themselves, and also a desirable place to be. 19th century cities were often perceived as dangerous. How images change. 15% of Manchester's population is now students, who were attracted to the city's reputation for a great student life. Dedicated spaces for students, such as Manchester University's Fallowfield campus, with its 8 halls of residence, offer student-focused life. Manchester has long been an attractive city for students who enjoy or study music. It has the Royal Northern College of Music and a reputation for indie music as the base of factory records in the 1980s. Think of Joy Division, New Order, etc. Now its venues include the Warehouse Project, Manchester Arena and many clubs. The wider city offers sport, with 2 Premiership football teams, theatre and shopping, the Arndale in the city centre and the Trafford Centre outside the city. Manchester also offers growing knowledge economy, with graduate employment in IT, science and engineering, and a growing financial services sector. Media employment has also increased, since the BBC moved many operations to Media City in Salford. The impact of these social, cultural and economic changes has transformed the age-sex profile of Manchester's population, with the largest male and female populations in the 20 to 30 age band, compared to that of Greater Manchester as a whole. The other side of the city. But the image of Manchester as a lively place to be a student is not all positive. The following quote comes from an online chat room, the student room. I've applied to Salford this year and have heard really bad things about Salford as a place, saying it's really rough and you'll get shot and all types of things. Everyone can think of urban places that are considered to be unsafe or even threatening, where you might hesitate before entering alone or at night. Salford, with its run-down housing estates, has had such a reputation in the past. What gives some poor places poor reputations? Possible reasons include poor environmental quality, such as litter or graffiti, or buildings that have been allowed to deteriorate prior to redevelopment. It can also quite simply be racism, as people perceive migrants and other ethnicities differently. Anti-Muslim sentiment in the tabloid press can encourage this. Crime rates can also contribute to reputations, but there are data to support the student's anecdotal fear that she might be shot walking through Salford. In Manchester, there were 33 planned attempts or actual homicides in the year to September 2015, a rate of 6.3 per 100,000 population, and the sixth highest rate in England and Wales. 10 of those 33 were actual homicides. Salford was 7th with 15, 2 of which were homicides, a rate of 6.2 per 100,000, and Rochdale was 8th with 13, 7 of which were homicides, 6.1 per 100,000. Salford, formerly older housing but with some high crime areas, but recent regeneration has renewed some housing and crime rates are now falling. Regeneration schemes include social and private housing, plus some upmarket developments such as Salford Quays, Sale and Altrincham. A mixed suburban, outer suburban area, well connected to central Manchester via the tram network, so it's popular with commuters. It's more family orientated with some middle class areas of upmarket housing. It has large parks and leisure spaces. Recent new build developments include flats for young professionals. Fallowfield. Situated 2 miles south of the city centre, it has an older housing with a mix of owner-occupied social housing and an increasingly student population, with several halls of residence and a number of student houses. It's a good location for students, although residents increasingly complain about the noise and disruption of late-night student parties. Student areas are normally at a higher risk for theft of phones, stereos, TVs, etc. Manchester city centre includes mainly commercial offices and shops, with a significant evening economy of bars and clubs, with little residential property, and Longsight, an inner city area consisting of mostly traditional red brick terrace houses, with 53% ethnically diverse population. It had a reputation as a high crime area between gangs until 2009, when many gang members were arrested. Since then, crime rate has fallen dramatically. Lived experiences and othering. Different groups can perceive the same urban areas differently as places to live and work. Some personal views were expressed in an online response of someone moving to Manchester and wanted to know which areas to avoid. Those views are balanced and evidenced, and are different opinions that demean other people using terms such as chaffs, a process known in psychology as othering. This process deliberately singles out and separates people thought to be different from oneself or from the mainstream. It can also encourage the development of ethnic enclaves, where those who are othered prefer to live close to each other for mutual support. With othering, any underlying causes are left unexplained. A good example of this in the media is the media representation of the fictional Chatsworth Council estate in Manchester, which featured on Channel 4's adult drama Shameless. Chatsworth represented an example of urban council estates built in the UK in the 1960s to rehouse families from inner city slums. During the 1980s, estates like Chatsworth suffered economic recession as a response to industrial decline. Their reputations fell as crime increased and cuts in government spending reduced housing maintenance, lowering environmental quality. The characters in Shameless were out of work, often at the pub, and had frequent run-ins with the police. Although the series was highly rated, journalist Owen Jones criticised it in his book Chavs, The Demonisation of the Working Class, because it failed to address how the characters ended up in their situation, or what impact the destruction of industry had had on working class communities in Manchester. Ethnic communities are often similarly othered. And that is the end of the 5th episode of the series. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you learned something. If you did, please do subscribe down below, and I will see you same time, same place next week, Monday, 4:30 p.m. for the next episode. Bye guys.